Hello, everyone. We are so excited to bring to you our Wind Down series, and we love this one because we get different perspectives from different people. And while it's a great episode, it's our wind down. So, Morgan, what's our wine?
Well, we're tasting Girard Sancerre from the Philippe Girard Vineyards in France.
By the way, a quick disclaimer, we had two special guests at the beginning. We lost one due to technical difficulties, but the episode is still fantastic.
We hope you enjoy the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our special monthly Wind Down podcast episode. We always look forward to this one, and we look forward to the fact of having special guests on this show. The reason why we like this show is because we are able to get different perspectives. We talk a little bit about the shows that we've already done, but we really get like insights from individuals that are, in all essence, our clients or individuals that are retired or getting close to retirement, and we get a little different feel just having this kind of conversation. So today, in addition to having Merce and Morgan on our podcast, as we normally do, we actually have two very special guests. We have Lynn Senior, and we have Fran Martin. And so we're going to introduce you to those and to those two individuals here in just a moment. But before we do, because this is called Wind Down, what we have is we have Morgan, who is going to help us to appreciate what our wine is, because that's probably the most important part of this whole thing is the wine. So Morgan, could you tell us what we're all sampling today?
Sure. So I'll share it with you. This is the wine that we're tasting this afternoon is a 2019 Girard Sancerre from the Philippe Girard Vineyard situated in the Loire Valley of France. Sancerre is a savory Sauvignon Blanc from the town of Sancerre and has been in production since the French Revolution, but has only been bottled for sale since the 1960s. So I thought that was interesting. And the area in general is known for the clay and chalky limestone soils. And also, Sauvignon Blanc has been called the drink of the true French countryman.
Very nice.
I know.
So,
little history, little geography.
What's your opinion of the wine there, Fran and Lynn? What do you like it? Is this like a good one? You can be honest, by the way.
I'm liking it.
Yeah, I really like it. I'm a real Sancerre fan, and this one is very lovely.
Oh, nice.
I'll let you know where I got it from.
me personally, I'm more of a red wine guy, but I think this is pretty smooth as well. And I would probably repurchase.
I would like to say this for full disclosure. If you're listening to this episode, it comes out at 8:00 in the morning. I just want it to be known that we are having our sip of wine after the market has closed and everything is done. So this is a late afternoon wine tasting. We are not doing this at 8:00 in the morning. Mm-hmm. All right. So let's just get to know our guest here for just a second. So let's start with Fran Martin. So Fran, could you just give us a little bit of a background? I know you're here in Raleigh, so you live here. Could you just tell us a little bit about where you are right now in life and what's going on?
Sure. Well, I am, I guess, officially retired from full-time corporate work, which was in the healthcare industry for many decades. But I feel like I'm busier than ever with 3 full-time jobs. I'm trying to continue some healthcare consulting, but I have elderly parents. My dad is 95 today.
Oh, very good.
And my mom is 93, and then I have 3 grandkids and we try to help our daughter as well. So like I said, I thought it would be a little bit slower, but it seems to be three full-time jobs, but keeping me busy and happy. So all good.
Well, very good.
And then Dale.
And Dale. Yes.
And for anybody who doesn't know, Dale's the husband. So yeah, she's having to take care
My
of
hubby. Yes. He's retired. He retired. He's younger than me and he retired before me.
Oh, very good. So now we've got Lynn Senior. And Lynn, could you tell us a little bit about where you are in life right now?
So in a slightly unexpected position, I retired from an agricultural company. I guess it's been about 2 years. The intent was to go back as a consultant, which I did for about a year. But with COVID-19, I was the subject of a layoff. So I'm keeping pretty busy with my granddaughter and her kindergarten online teaching. So I'm helping out my kids there because they're both trying to work full time from home. And so I take my granddaughter about 3 days a week and do her online teaching. So I'm a little bit of a teacher assistant on top of everything else.
Well, very nice. Well, thank you. We appreciate you guys being with us today and helping us taste this wine and help us do our wine down. And really the purpose of this, and we appreciate you coming on, is to kind of talk a little bit. We're going to let it go open wherever we want to go, but we had 3 episodes that we really wanted to talk about, and it's the interview episodes. Merce and I do an episode on Wednesdays that is not interview oriented. It's much more what we call the retirement in action. And we're happy to talk about anything that you heard over the course of the month. But let's just start with our first episode. And then, like I said, anywhere you want to go. But our first episode was an interview with an analyst. His name was Jack Ruderman. And we talked a little bit about money management and how to deal with risk and what's going on in the market and obviously things that are happening in the world right now. Is there anything at all that you heard that, I don't know, was good, bad, alarming, anything at all that you felt was worthy of a question? Anything at all? And there's nothing, there's no big deal. We can move on. But is there anything at all that you thought about when you heard that? And by the way, just feel free to speak up. There's no interrupting. If you interrupt somebody, just interrupt. Anything that you had off of that?
I just had a reaffirmation of the pies. I mean, I've gone through all of the decades of different types of financial advisors and the pie, and that you should keep after your pie. But I think that what I liked out of it is sort of jogged my, made me want to talk to my kids more about how they should look at their financials and manage their money, and really provide some of that insight to them that you really don't get in school, and you usually don't get from your parents, or at least from my generation of parents. You sort of had to figure it out on your own. So that was very interesting to me.
Yeah. One of the things about that episode for me is it just kind of helped me to kind of go back in my own memory as far as, I used to, when you get trained in this industry, you're trained to do asset allocation. You're trained to, diversify. You're not trained to be an active manager. And so it brought me back and just helped me to come back through that. I mean, we've been doing it for so long now, I don't really remember that. But at the same token, it's like, that's the way things were. And I think that's the vast majority of financial advisors. They just do that. And that's all they were ever trained. They weren't trained to have a sell side discipline. And so I appreciate kind of taking myself back through that. What we had there is Lynn was basically talking about the fact that, in her 401k, what she had is this asset allocation. That's all you can do by the way, in a 401k.
Yeah. I can speak to that. You get a job with whatever company, and hopefully they have a 401k that you can get into, and you're very limited in what you can do. And that's where the whole concept of asset allocation really come from. That's what Jack talked about in the episode of No More Pies. He's looking at the pie saying that's an asset allocation. You've got certain slices in certain places of the market. And, you're kind of just assume that that's the way that you're going to invest because that's how your 401k works. But, there's other options out there. And I think what Lynn was getting to is, there's a point at which you can actually switch over to some type of different strategy, which is the active management. That's the whole conversation that we had in the episode. If you haven't listened to it yet, we basically talked about the difference between asset allocation, buy and hold, buy a stock and just hold it for 20, 30, 40 years and you'll make some money versus, actively managing your portfolio and the benefits of that, especially for somebody that is like Lynn or Fran, which is close to retirement or already retired. So yeah, I mean, even I've known Jack for a very long time, and I got a lot out of just listening to him and his story and why it all made sense to him years ago. So, I'm relatively young in the business. When I say that, I'm 10 years in the business, and it's still, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So our next episode was on Medicare. And one thing I got out of that one is I've been in this business now for 20 years. And when you start going through A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, I mean, you just start going down this line. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's just stressful to think about it. And I always used to say, people would say, why is it that the IRS or the government said, you have to be 59 and a half or 70 and a half. And I said, in my mind, I think about this group of people sitting around a table, and basically what they're doing is saying, let's make it the most complicated thing we could ever make. And I think that's what we have here with Medicare. And so, Morgan, I know you had a couple of things that you had on that with Medicare.
I did. I haven't never really dived very deep into the whole Medicare world. It hasn't presented itself to me yet. But when she was talking about the Medicare Advantage versus the Medigap and how the Medicare Advantage remains the same regardless of your age, I thought that was some very interesting information, something I wouldn't have figured before. But also just how helpful that she is, what a resource that Lorraine really was, and how she truly obviously enjoys what she does.
Yeah. Did you have anything on that, Fran? Did all the from
Yeah.
the Medicare episode?
Yes, well, I wish that the episode would have been in July because I just turned 65 in September. So I've been on this journey in this 3-month window before you turn 65 and after you turn 65 to figure out what kind of Medicare coverage you're going to get. And not only is the Medicare A, B, C, D, E, F, G confusing, but the plans are called A, B, C, D, E, F, G as well. So I wished I would have learned about Lorraine about 3 months ago. I've been down that journey and have made my pick. And what I will probably try to do is maybe try to follow up with her because I'm still struggling with the Part D, which is the prescription plan. If you're fortunate enough to not take very many prescriptions, your premium in some of these plans is more than you would pay if you just didn't have any coverage at all with the good RX coupons and everything that are out there. So, but you have to pick things, or you get penalized. So that was one thing that I was thinking. I'm trying to get some more information, and we'll probably try to follow up with her on and see if she has any recommendations around that.
Yeah. So Fran, that's interesting because you recently did all that, and I know the studious person that you are, you probably did a lot of research, you and Dale together. But so what was your overall experience with the whole signing up for Medicare and everything like that? For anyone that's listening that may be in that position this year or next year, what, I guess, your overall experience or maybe what to expect for someone that's getting close to that?
My overall experience is the information is out there. So the Medicare site is pretty good. But it is really complicated. You almost have to read it like 3 or 4 times. You can't digest it all at one time. So you go read it, then come back, and then, oh, okay, I didn't miss that part. So now I have another piece of the nugget. So the information is there. But a lot of the different companies like the Humanas and the Blue Cross Blue Shields also do some podcasts, Medicare 101, and you can get additional information. And then there's all these brokers out there like Lorraine, some of them with particular plans that you can that will call you and you can get information from. So my experience with the Medicare and the information, it's complicated, but it is available there. I will say the Social Security Raleigh office was very helpful. All of their paperwork sort of lags behind. So I make a phone call because I got this paperwork and they say, oh, don't worry about that. And it'll be fixed. And then the next thing I get is not fixed yet. So I call them again and they look and they have it all in their system, but everything sort of lags behind. And it takes that's why they have the 6 months window, I think, because it just takes that long for all of the different complexities between Social Security and Medicare to sort of to gel and get together. And I will say that Dale didn't do anything. He said he's younger than me and he was waiting for me to figure it out so I could tell him what to do when he turned 65.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. I mean, it's always good to hear someone else's perspective that went through it. Raiden and I, and we can bring in a person like Lorraine, but we haven't gone through it ourselves. So it's always it's nice to hear someone's personal experience.
I will say that I would encourage people to use someone like Lorraine. You get, like, every day as you're approaching 65, you get stuff in the mail. And I must have gotten, I don't know, 50 different flyers from different people and brokers and all that kind of stuff. So I think that, and I didn't know, what the relationships were or who these people were. So I think it's a great thing to have someone recommended like Lorraine that can help you navigate.
Yeah, I agree with you. Because I mean, even for somebody like us who does this for a living, I mean, it's still complicated. And so we appreciate all that feedback. All right, the final one before we actually get into maybe some just general questions is the one on taxes. And I will tell you that the biggest question Merce and I get when it comes to somebody who's getting close to or already in retirement is, how do I deal with this whole tax situation in retirement? And that's a really big one, because if we don't think about taxes, it can make a massive difference in how long money lasts, or at least how much we have at the end of the day, and or how our kids get hit, or whatever that may be. And unfortunately, the game is not fair, meaning we could have one plan today and we might have another plan in 2021. And so you kind of are moving and navigating this whole situation of taxes. And you know, there's no way that we could do an interview with somebody. We did it with Tom Turner. There's no way we could do an interview in 30 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever and hit all those topics. I think the thing I get out of that is, it's a moving thing. It's a living thing. We have to make sure that we're going to look at tax planning as an every year basis. I think that is extremely important. And I know, Fran, we've had conversations around different topics on taxes and that kind of thing. But I'm just going to throw it back to you. Was anything out of that you got that you felt was beneficial, helpful, thoughtful?
Well, I got a lot out of that because taxes are Dale's job. So
Okay.
I don't. so I learned a lot from the how you have to manage and how much of your Social Security is going to be taxed and how you want to balance that, to the whole myth about selling your house and what you're going to be taxed. So I found it really interesting, because that's been as you have separation of duties in your married life, he always took care of that, and he did all that, and I really never delved into it. So I found it to be extremely informative.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think taxes is a tough one, because, you got to pay them. And it's like a decision of, well, do I want to learn? Do I want to study everything there is to know about taxes to do it myself, or feel good enough to file them myself? Or do I want to just hand it off to someone else? And, I personally, I don't do my taxes myself, and I'm in this world because there's just so much to keep up with. I think my personal opinion is, I would rather just, be good at what I do and hand it off to someone that's good at what they do, which is a CPA typically. And I know Radon doesn't do his taxes either. So it's kind of that.
I paid my taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clarification there.
I actually pay all of my taxes.
Well, and when I say Dale does the taxes, he gets somebody to do them. He knows all of the ins and outs, but we don't do our own taxes either. We have a CPA that does them.
We did for so long until kids came along and houses came along, and it just started getting too complicated for us to handle. And we felt like we were missing things. And so by turning to an expert, we just felt so much better each year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I have my own business now, and I'm retired too. So the tax CPA that we use is really helping to how can I invest and take some of that money and put it into retirement. And MERS helped me out with that, so that we can sort of eliminate some taxes on money that we're making going forward.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge point there. The things that you don't know, whereas a CPA could be like, oh, you could save some money here by throwing some money into this bucket, can make a huge difference. And TurboTax and those softwares out there, they're fantastic if you know how to utilize them and if you know what you're looking for. And so, I'm all about using a CPA. I think it makes a lot of sense, unless you just are that type of person, that mentality that can just figure it out yourselves. And that's how you want to do it, which is fine too. My dad, all of my life that I have known what a tax was, he's been doing them himself for the family and also for his company. But he enjoys that. He really enjoys the numbers and he enjoys, the idea of the fact that he saved some money because he did this with the taxes. I just don't have that drive.
Yeah. And even with Tom and his team personally, I mean, we wouldn't have known or wouldn't have paid attention with everything going on right now to the tax credit for families or for families with children right now. Yeah. Just today they called and they're like, yeah, make sure you get that in. It's due today. But I mean, stuff we wouldn't have paid attention to or even noticed. So it's super helpful to have them on the side throughout the whole year.
Yeah.
So we've talked about these episodes, and I think it's good for us to do a little recap. But I have a question, and I don't mean to put you on the spot here, Fran, but you are a guest, and
also it seems like we've lost Lynn, so you're our only guest at this point.
Yeah. So here's the thing, and I asked this last time, and I'm just curious. I know what I would say, but if I know you've got children, you got grandchildren. So if you're talking and you were having a conversation with the 20-year-old, either you or your child or your grandchild, and you're having that conversation, when you think back on it, what do you wish you would have done in your early 20s, if you know what you know today, that you might do a little bit different based on where you are? Like, I know you've had a really good, successful career and all those kind of things. So those are all good, but if you could tweak it at all, what would you do different?
Well, what I would do different, I'll tell you what do the same, I guess, and tell them first that, you never think you're ever going to pay off your house or, be financially stable or anything like that when you're 20 and you're just scraping through, and you hear it'll just keep saving, keep working, it'll all work out, and it does. So that I would still have as my recommendation to the 20-year-old. But what I would do differently is when we go back to that corporate 401k, my son-in-law works for Duke Energy, and I'm sure they're saving and all that kind of stuff. But you sort of get in that pie mentality, and you don't go in and you worry about the match, right? But you really don't worry about how to manage that. So my advice would be to really pay attention to that, because it really makes a difference what you do early on to how you accrue financial wealth going forward. And we didn't do that going forward. And I think especially in a volatile, I lived through Black Monday in '87 and whatever in 2000 and whatever. So and my 401k went, So
for all those listening, she basically was motioning up and down, up and down, up and down
aggressively.
So if I would have been more in tune with wealth management and watching things and managing the money, maybe I'd be in a different spot today. So you can still work hard and have more at the end of the day. That would be my advice.
Very good. Well, that's great advice. I got one more for you. One of the things that we talk about, we are right now in the process. I went through a program a few years ago, and basically it was talking about transition. And the transition idea was when somebody goes from a work life to a non-work life, that's a big transition, because you go for decades making money. And all of a sudden, one day, you go from making money to now and saving. By the way, I save money and I make money. And now all of a sudden, I got this money that I saved, and you're going to transition into this environment of pulling money back out. And it can be quite emotional. And I know that you've kind of moved into this idea of retirement from your career, and you've got this other, side business thing that you're doing. But let me ask you, how's it been for you making that transition from a corporate type setting to now, you kind of are self-employed, but you're really also semi-retired? How's that been for you? What's your experience been like?
My experience has been good. I think actually COVID though has sort of, ease that you're home now, right? And it's everything's virtual. So if there's going to be maybe a positive out of it, it's sort of helped in that, you don't go to work, you're not on an airplane, you're not, so that sort of helped me transition into that. And I think, like I said, I'm busier than ever.
Yeah.
And it's just a different busy. And what I wanted to do, my goal was that I would be able to manage my own schedule. So nobody would be telling me that we're having an 8:00 meeting tomorrow morning and I have no control over that. So I have control over when I'm going to have my, schedule and my time. And I can make it to what I need to have family commitments without any kind of prejudgment on that. And my other goal is, which I haven't been able to do because of COVID, is I want to go on vacation without a computer.
Yeah.
or where there's no Wi-Fi, and I
Right,
can
right.
just.
Oh, that would be awesome. We can't wait.
The transition's been pretty good. I thought it would be a lot more difficult. But again, I think people think of retirement. Well, the 30-year-old thinks, oh, you're retired, you're not doing anything. And that, to me, that's not what retirement is. Retirement is doing things on your own terms.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, Dale retired a couple of years earlier than you. So he's like, I've already figured this out for you, Fran. We're going to be okay. Don't worry about it. I'm sure. But no, I think about it, and I still have many working years ahead of me, but even with money coming in the door, even for me to dip into a savings account for a certain purchase or whatever it is, that hurts. So I couldn't even imagine, fast forward when I'm in my retirement ages, whenever that is, and no money coming in the door, and now also having to dip into savings to live. Well, that's something that is, I think, it's definitely going to be a mind shift, and it will take a while to get used to. Right now, you still have some money coming in the door with your consulting work, but eventually that'll stop unless you're, working until you're going to kick the bucket. I don't know. That's up
I
to
don't
you,
know.
I guess.
It has been good to have this transition, because the paycheck is a nice thing to have, and so you do miss that, but doing something that's bringing something in, and hopefully by the time you're retiring, you're at the point where you don't have a lot of expenses, loans, mortgages, those types of things, and so you can manage with less coming in on a daily,
right,
on a daily or yearly basis. And I think that helps to transition to the point where eventually, most of my friends that are older, I mean, most of them are totally retiring like 75, they're really pushing it out more. So,
yeah. Well, very good. Well, Fran, we do appreciate very much you coming on and having this little conversation with us and having a glass of wine with us. It certainly makes for a nice afternoon. Unfortunately, we did lose Lynn, and you had to carry this, as our lone guest, and you did such a fantastic job of answering our questions. So thank you for standing up to the pressure. I know this for a fact, that what you have said is very, very beneficial. And I think that the reason why we do this wind down is that we want people to hear from other people. And we believe that venue is extremely important for people that are in retirement, that made that transition, people that are making that transition. It's so important for them to be able to hear it and to know that, hey, it happened and it's possible, and it's fine and it's good and it works. And so we do appreciate you being able to share that. So thank you so much for coming on with us today.
You're quite welcome. Thank you. And the wine was spectacular.
All right.
Thanks.
Everyone have a great day.